Hi, my name is Annika and I am a senior at Virginia Tech studying political science and Russian. This year, as a Hume undergraduate scholar, I worked with the Diplomacy Lab program to do my research. Diplomacy Lab, for those who are unfamiliar, is when the State Department will put out research bids and different undergraduate teams will try to come up with solutions. For my diplomacy project, my group was tasked with researching the various factors in creating alumni networks and its sustainability for the State Department's Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs. We specifically researched the alumni networks that were part of exchange programs offered by the ECA, such as Fulbright, the Mandela Washington Fellows, or other programs of that nature. Specifically for the scope of our research, we looked at how alumni networks were sustained in other countries, in the sense of we specifically looked at programs where people from other countries came to the United States and then returned to their home countries, and we were hoping to keep those ties with them. The main reason that we were looking into these programs was to kind of evaluate the soft power influence that we have, because exchange programs are a great way to practice diplomacy, ensure security, and develop relationships with other countries, specifically in the soft power manner. The reason that I thought it was really important to define soft power is because it has just as much influence as kind of the military aspect of defending and diplomatic relationships. So when you think back to Political Science 101, you think of the metaphor of the carrot and the stick, where the stick is all of the very hard power, examples of like deterrence, coercion, and much more threatening, whereas the soft power is the carrot that kind of entices or attracts people to have similar objectives to you, such as co-opting or compromising. In order to research this issue, we conducted a literature review of articles on the impacts of exchange programs on diplomacy, as well as interviewing and surveying multiple alumni participants of these different programs. Specifically, we interviewed 11 people from the Mandela Washington Fellows Program who came from 10 different sub-Saharan African countries and are of varying ages and professions. We also surveyed a group of the Friends of Fulbright program, specifically from Argentina, and we collected about 18 responses in our survey with them. Both of these programs, Virginia Tech has very good relationships with, and so that is how we were able to get in contact with them. In order to identify ways to sustain and kind of expand these alumni networks, we needed to look at the current state of the ECA and what kind of outreach efforts they were currently implementing. So at the moment, they offer a variety of programs, grants, and outreach efforts. Programs are specifically different kind of networking and career building implementing programs in the sense of like they are speaker series about how to best utilize your network, how to expand your network through LinkedIn or other programs, as well as looking at different developmental workshops for soft skills that may not be available to other people who are not alumni from these programs. These programs are open to alumni of all exchange programs offered by the ECA and not narrowed down based off of which program you come from. They also offer numerous grants to different participants in the different ECA programs, specifically the Alumni Engagement Innovation Fund, or Alumni EIF. This engagement fund is specifically for people who have come from other countries, experienced America, and gone back to their countries. And once you are an alumni of any of those programs, you can compete for these grants that are handed out every year by drawing up a proposal to how to best implement a new program for your community. For example, one of the Mandela Fellows that we interviewed was able to receive one of these grants and implement a better healthcare system in her home community, specifically because she was a doctor and wanted to open up her own practice where she could provide affordable healthcare to all of the community residents. Similarly, there's also the Citizen Diplomacy Action Fund, where US-based alumni can go back to other countries and use this money to go back independently from an ECA program where they were probably first exposed to these countries. Also, we currently live in the digital age, so A lot of the outreach efforts are currently being done digitally, especially due to the coronavirus. Finally, they have a gigantic portal that is offered to alumni from every single program that the ECA has to offer, and you are able to connect in that manner. Once we understood the ECA portion of it, we also looked at the other side of it and how well this kind of programs and alumni networks were being reciprocated on the other side of the programs, so the participants. They we specifically asked them how often the embassy contacts them, would they be interested in embassy events, have they used the Department of State portal, and do they believe they are part of an established alumni association, or would they be interested? So, based off of the results of both the interviews and the surveys, we kind of got a mixed bag of the embassies had not been reaching out as often as they thought they would. And there's also been a major communication disconnect because the State Department often hires third party implementers to kind of act as the facilitators for these programs. And a lot of these alumni don't even realize that they are part of a State Department program and instead believe that they are part of the Alumni Association for whatever that third party is. Based off the survey and the current state of the ECA, we recognize some major challenges. The biggest one was the miscommunication that alumni were not aware that they were part of a formal alumni network. Also, there was problems with attrition and coordination, making it difficult to obtain information required to connect with alumni. So the State Department would not put forth the effort to collect any of that information at the beginning of the program or mid-program or at the end of the program based off of where those alumni would be after the program, making it very difficult to reach out to these people once they've finished the exchange program. Also, the main things that we realized when we were talking with ECA representatives was that there was a lack of standardization across the board. So there was discrepancies in program size and funding. Not all programs had strong platforms for communicating with alumni, as well as everything was left up to the discretion of each individual embassy and those connections. Based off of our research and also the understanding that we got from talking with all of the people involved in these various programs, we came up with 4 major recommendations for the State Department. We believe that the State Department should proactively spur the engagement of participants so that it establishes ties to the network and community before they become alumni. This includes collecting their information of where they're going to be after the program and being able to kind of create that dialogue between them at the beginning of the program so that it can continue after the program. We also advocated for the increased embassy involvement and support that is needed to propel foreign policy goals and formalize the alumni network. Once again, it goes back to that standardization across the board, where we wanted to involve all of the alumni networks with the embassies that they should be connected with by either hosting events for all of the programs within that country or hosting specific events for each different program. We also suggested that they modernize all platforms and build a digital community to achieve the ultimate goal of engaging all alumni in the network. This is a big one because the State Department portal that they use for all of the alumni networks is extremely outdated and also looks like a very difficult to navigate government website. It is so expansive because it includes all of the alumni networks for every single program that they offer, which makes it difficult to narrow it down based off the people that you interacted with during your program specifically. Finally, we advocated for them to develop performance indicators to track tangible results of investment in alumni programs and organizations. A big issue with the programs is that each is a case-by-case basis, and therefore there's a lot of redundancy in the process of evaluating them and how useful they are to establishing that soft power that we talked about. Therefore, it's very important for them to come up with tangible markers or indicators based off of either the progress of exchange program participants post-program in their own communities, or based off of how many different grants they are able to get in order to promote their different communities, and how many, basically track more tangible metrics in ensuring that these programs are worth the investment. I attached the full 30-page paper that we wrote based off of our research that goes way more into depth than this presentation. And if you ever want to look into alumni networks of different ECA programs, and I would like to thank all of the different people who were involved in this project. I was not just me, it was an entire team. And thank you all for coming to the 2021 Hume Center Colloquium.